Okay, will the Real World Design Challenge team from Red Mountain High School please join me up front?
Real world. It all began when we decided to form a team on a whim in engineering club back in September. Connor, Mike, Julie, Hayden, Kyle, Nicodemus, and I, as well as Mr. Middleton, made up the team. We procrastinated to the max, but we actually got a final product to submit for the state challenge. It was about 2 hours late, but thanks to my main man, we got it in. After some time, we found out we were chosen as first place in our state. We were all excited to go to nationals, but because Hayden had to focus on other things, we gained Mr. Big Plain Boy Matt Trojanowski in place of Hayden. We began to work on the second part, the national challenge. When we began the national challenge, we ditched the spreadsheet calculator for a genetic algorithm in order to attempt to increase our efficiency. After some issues with the genetic algorithm, which needs to die in a fire after eating up 2 months of Nicodemus' life, we eventually pulled through and got a design for nationals. We were able to survive the last few days and turned it in on time this time. Thank God. Unfortunately, the last day took place on Nicodemus' birthday, so we had to make sure to get him some sweet birthday pie.
Plus, all of our detailed analyses, flight plan looks... Flight plan looks...
Once we made a presentation and assembled a model, we were ready. We got to the airport on time, with Middleton being fashionably late as usual, and we got in line to check our luggage. A lot of us met Mrs. Story for the first time. We got to know her a lot better over the span of this trip. We got through security, headed over to our terminal, and we were ready to head out to Denver. Once we landed in Denver, we had to practice our presentation a lot because we needed to be under 15 minutes, otherwise we would be cut off by all the judges. After we ate lunch, we attempted to practice, but we still missed our target. We eventually gave up and just continued practicing individually, but that only devolved even more. After a reasonably long layover, we flew over to DC and landed there late at night. We were all super hyped to be there. We were all really tired too, but it was probably just the cold that was keeping us awake. Oh yeah, and I survived frostbite. We stayed at the 4-H Center in Maryland with a bunch of wild 8th graders on their close-up trip. Fortunately, because we got there after 11 p.m., it was pretty quiet and we got to get some good sleep. In the morning, we went down to get some breakfast, which was surprisingly decent for what it was. We had to prove we were worthy of going into the city by showing that we knew our lines for the presentation before we could actually leave. We had to practice our lines a lot in our room. After that, we went down to the underground arcade lobby area where we were able to get a pretty good time. Once we got to a metro station, we took the metro down to DC and went to the zoo. It was a really cool place and we got to see a bunch of really awesome animals.
What is your problem? Wow.
After that, we went further into the city and saw the Supreme Court. Fortunately, we were there when it was pretty empty out in front, so we could take some good pictures. The Library of Congress was really cool too, even though we couldn't fully explore it. We then headed over to the Air and Space Museum, only to find our dreams of getting Mickey D's in the museum were crushed. So we decided to leave and get McDonald's somewhere else, as people do. After getting our mandatory McDonald's, we headed back to the museum and had a really good time. We only lost Connor twice. Sorry, Connor. As we were finishing up in the city, we headed back to the 4-H Center to get a presentation from the real world people. Of course, no trip is complete without seeing a sign for my main man, Bill Frick. That night, all the teams congregated into the auditorium for a pre-competition debrief. There, we were able to meet the man, the myth, the legend, Ralph Coppola. We'll get back to him later. After they finished up, we went below our building into a conference room to practice our presentation to perfect it. That definitely went on for a while. Like, time seemed to slow down in that room. After we decided to finish up, mainly because we were really tired, we headed back to our rooms and fell asleep feeling very confident. It started out like a normal day. We were all eating breakfast and having a good time, but then we had to go get dressed to look all fancy and practice. We practiced quite a lot before we had to actually officially present, and we got a sub 15-minute time during those presentations. Then it was time to actually present. We went first in our room and it went really well. We just barely made it under the 15 minutes and we had a few good interactions with the judges. We sat down feeling confident, relieved, and happy. The 3 teams that went after us did a pretty good job, especially the Chinese team. They actually talked with us after their presentation and we discovered they were into PUBG, giving us something in common. We just spent the rest of the morning relaxing and having fun. We met a really nice team from Florida who we played a lot of games with. Oh. Life was great. At least we thought it was. Ralph Coppola. Told you I'd get back to this guy. He is definitely a character, that's for sure. His son was a cool guy, but Ralph, not so much. He definitely seems like the type of guy who would drive around with his son without talking and without the radio on. Anyway, Ralph had a very important folder that he got from the judges, and he made sure to tell everyone that not even he knows what the results are. He made sure to tell us that several times. Like, at least 5 times. As he was opening it, we were excited, anxious, and on the edge of our seats. He read the 3rd place US team, and it wasn't us. Neither was the tie for 2nd or 1st. We were all pretty disappointed, some more than others. Then they sent us off for dinner.
But wait, there's more.
During dinner, everyone was really confused and sad. They brought us back into the auditorium to have the top 2 American teams and top 2 Chinese teams present to extreme judges, or professionals or something. The 2 Chinese teams, the Connecticut Kids and The Guardian, all presented their projects, and the final consensus was made. After an excruciatingly long time of sitting, watching, and listening, they began to give the merit awards. Awards like Best Marketing Case, Against All Odds, and Number 1 in Innovation. For 2 of the awards, we thought it was going to be us because the way they described the team, it made it sound like it'd be the Red Mountain team. But we were just pranked. We ended up walking home empty-handed. They sent us away to a mini buffet in the lobby arcade area, which we all got together and placed bets on who would win. After that, they sent us back in and gave the final results. The 2nd place American team was The Guardian, followed by, surprisingly, Xavier from Connecticut. Not only did they place 1st in the American category, but they also nudged the Chinese 1st place team out of the international victory, which got them the scholarship to Embry-Riddle. I'm not super salty about it, but I'm still pretty salty. They gave us no reason as to why we didn't place, but we still got to present and make it to the national level, so that was nice. I think Nicodemus was hit the most by this because he was actually going to go to Embry-Riddle, so we all tried to keep him happy. Mr. Middleton and Mrs. Torrey kept reassuring us that we did an amazing job and that we should look on the bright side, so that was definitely nice.
Oh snap, what's going on?
In other news, Brian mustered up enough courage to ask Julie to hold hands.
Wow.
No, not a fist bump, not a handshake, a full-on handhold. For the sake of inside jokes, can you hold this?
Please consider the phone.
So, let me stress the importance of using alarms. Alarms are vital to keeping a good schedule, and we definitely learned that on Sunday. We all set alarms at night for the morning, but because the time difference was weird, it messed with our phones and the clocks in our room. So I shared a room with Kyle, Matt, and Mike, and we all had alarms set. Like every single one of us had an alarm on our phone set for the morning, including the clock in our room, but none of them went off. Somehow, because my internal clock was still pretty messed up, I woke up, I looked at the clock, was about to go back asleep, but then panicked because I remembered, oh yeah, the time's pretty wonky here. I woke all of them up and I told them, hey, by the way, you have about 30 minutes to get dressed, packed, and downstairs for breakfast. Let me tell you, if you haven't experienced pure chaos and stress, that was a good time to experience it. Fortunately, somehow, Mr. Middleton planned for this time-stopping anomaly that happened to us and gave us ample time to panic and then get ready. Let me just give a quick shout out to Kip, Mr. Middleton, you are the man. Anyway, With time to spare, we left the 4-H center to go back into the city. Nicodemus was slowly, but steadily, feeling better about the whole thing, and we started making jokes to lighten the mood. Mr. Milton also bought us all Starbucks, which we gave him a big hug for doing. He's not exactly a hug guy, though. You see, the true joke was on him because I got the most expensive item on the menu on purpose. I got a venti water. We went back into DC and saw the National Archives, the National History Museum for like 10 minutes, and went down to Udvar Hazy in Virginia.
Have you ever been to Udvar Hazy?
I never went to Udvar Jabber.
After a series of long metro and bus rides, we finally made it to the super cool aerospace annex. We had McDonald's, of course, and spent a long time looking at all the cool planes and such, as well as the space travel area. That place was awesome, especially since we had just learned about most of these things. After spending a pretty good amount of time there, we started heading back and stopped at a place called Union Market for dinner, where a bunch of small local vendors sold food to people in one place. It was very nice there and the food was really good. After that, we went back into DC just as the sun was setting, and we saw the White House, some of the monuments, and got some amazing pictures.
Our team reverted back to our second best option, the Talon V-Tail. We considered.
After a while, we realized it was pretty late, so we decided to head back on the metro and go to bed. It is every high school student's dream to wake up before 6. Nah, I'm just kidding, it sucks. We woke up at what felt like 2 a.m., but I don't really know what time it was, just because I was really tired. We got packed, went to the lobby, and got in a shuttle to the airport. We got to the airport and got in line for TSA. Fortunately, I got TSA pre-check, so I got to ditch all my friends to go to the front of the line. On the upside, Mr. Milton got us donuts, and we had time to get to our gate. We flew over to Denver where we had a 9-hour layover. Fun times. We decided to leave the airport to go to the city, and we walked in a 6-mile loop doing nothing, only to get food at the place that we started at. So that was efficient. We visited a bookstore, got some burgers, and then we headed back to survive the last few hours. Finally, we boarded the last plane, which was going to Arizona. Even though it was way cooler back in DC and Denver, it was really nice to be home just because it was a place that we were familiar with, and it was nice. Yeah. Oh snap, Brian's about to get all mushy and emotional. Whoa, pretty wild. Alright, so let's see if I can just do this all ad-lib. Well, so to start out, I really like the team. This team is just amazing. I made a lot of awesome friends from this group, and I don't think that normally I would have done something like this if I knew it was just random people. So it was nice. I really like this. Just going to DC and hanging out with everyone for an entire 5 days. Wow, yeah, 5 days. That was really cool. I love these guys. All of you, everyone listening, you guys are amazing. There's nothing I would have done differently. I think even all the crazy stuff that happened, like, oh man, we got 5th place. I think it's alright. I think we still had a good experience. We had a good time. Yeah. Every single one of you, I think that you're all amazing and unique. I could go on for hours. I could say a lot of things, but basically you guys are awesome. There's nothing I would have changed.
Plus, over detailed analyses, flight plan looks. Flight plan looks.
We're deciding what to visit. There's several possible options.
Design requirements. Many were given to us by the competition, but others.
Connor, do a dab. Wow. Oh yeah.
Good evening. So actually, I joined the team somewhere around January, just by sheer luck. I just was at the right place at the right time, and my good friend Brian actually introduced me to the team. I've known all these guys for the past 3 years, and through this challenge, I was able to get to know them a lot better. They're some of the most talented young minds I've known so far. They're really impressive. I'm super proud of this team. You know, we were able to go to DC and compete against, you know, the nation's best student engineers. So it was very challenging. A lot of hours were put into this work, but I think we all have some level of interest in the aerospace industry and engineering in general. So I can't be prouder. So.
I really love everyone in this group. It's just such a good group. Like, it's amazing. I really hope that they never change. Like, especially the seniors, just Connor, Matt, Nicodemus. You guys are gonna be great. You guys are gonna do amazing in college. I know that for a fact, and I just hope you guys have a good life.